In this video today, Whoopi Goldberg is now slamming Democrats for criticizing the Hunter Biden pardon.
He can pardon, if he wants to pardon Bozo the Clown, he can pardon Bozo the Clown.
Also, CNN can't answer this simple question.
Do you all think that Merrick Garland should be fired because of this corruption at the DOJ?
And New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he's willing to work with Trump.
And I would love to sit down with the board of czar.
President Biden's full pardon to his son Hunter is being met with a strong reaction from the left side of the aisle, too. Take a look.
What other father in America has the power to pardon his son or daughter if they're convicted of a crime?
He didn't need to tell the American public, I will not do this. And he did. And when you made a promise, you got to keep it.
I can't say why my colleagues are acting the way that they are. I can say that the American people are tired of us bringing a butter knife to a real fight.
It's a gift to Donald Trump because he's going to come here and claim that he's just doing what Joe Biden did. And I think that is hurtful for the American people.
You know what I think is hurtful for the American people? I think what is hurtful is denying that if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Yeah.
He is the president of the United States, and it is his right, and he doesn't have to explain to anybody. This is his right as president. He can pardon, if he wants to pardon Bozo the Clown, he can pardon Bozo the Clown. Yeah. So I'm not sure why people are clutching their pearls while the left is clutching their pearls. Because did y'all forget all the stuff that we said was going on, or that doesn't matter? Because it seems to me, and I had to write it down because I didn't think I would remember it. Yeah. I just want to say, Democrats, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't let people tell you you're not taking the moral ground when we take the moral ground all the time. We fight for migrant rights, women's rights, gay folks' rights, trans rights, and every time we do, suddenly we're being told, oh, you're on the woke agenda.
Nothing has changed.
Can I ask a question? Do you all think that Merrick Garland should be fired because of this corruption at the DOJ?
Again, I don't think there's corruption at the DOJ. I think the concern is the future DOJ is going to be corrupted.
You think there's corruption there. You think this was a politicized witch hunt. But the Attorney General should be held accountable, no?
These charges were trumped up because his name is Hunter Biden.
But wouldn't you, if you were the president, would you believe the Attorney General?
Let's consult our legal expert.
Let me ask you this, Scott, because this is a fair point. Donald Trump pardoned Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, George Papadopoulos, Steve Bannon, Michael Flynn. Joe Biden's also not the first person to pardon a family member. Hunter Biden, Charles Kushner. Donald Trump did that one too. Roger Clinton was pardoned, President Clinton's half-brother. Emily Todd Helm, Abraham Lincoln's wife's half-sister, was pardoned. So are we saying we have a problem with all of those things?
How many of the Trump children that we were told are corrupt needed pardons? Zero.
Scott, no one looked into them.
I would love to know to your point,
getting
Scott,
$2 billion from the Saudis.
The Trump children did not face federal charges. To your point, I'm going to give you that. But the person on here, Charles Kushner, who was convicted for a crime.
Did he go to jail?
Yes, he was living in Alabama prison.
He served time?
But he was
Yes, he
pardoned.
was in prison.
It strikes me that one of the arguments against
you didn't answer the question.
He's literally moved from a jail cell in Alabama to a...
They're not equivalent. They're not equivalent in any way, shape, or form.
Please.
But you're bringing up an issue, and you brought it up, so I want to address it. This idea that Hunter Biden is being selectively prosecuted. Now, one of the core criticisms of the Republicans, and Trump specifically, during the Biden years, is that the Department of Justice is engaging in selective prosecution investigations of Republicans. And today, what I hear Democrats saying is, you know what, you're right. Joe Biden's DOJ does engage in selective prosecutions, which is exactly why we need people to come in and clean it out now. There seems to be bipartisan consensus.
But
selective prosecutions.
Does it open that door, Congressman?
What door? I'm sorry.
The door to say, well, there is corruption in the DOJ. Let's clean it out.
That's what he argues. Well,
if Eric Holder said it right, I think. He said if Hunter's name was Joe Smith, this case would probably have never even gone to trial, right? That it was always a political witch
Justice
hunt.
Department brought the
And
case?
it was always...
But wasn't, to Scott's point, I mean, wasn't it a lie? I mean, you can defend it, but wasn't it a lie that he was not going to pardon him?
No, I believe the circumstances have changed. I think that we now have a president coming into office who's talking about firing squads, who's talking about running people around the country and making sure that everyone who's his enemy is going to be punished. And Hunter Biden lied about his drug use on a government forum when he was buying a gun. And he failed to file and pay taxes when he was a drug addict. He paid back those taxes with interest. Donald Trump himself was indicted for 17 counts of criminal tax fraud, more than Hunter, and he's going to be the president of the United
11
States.
years.
So
You're missing.
Questions? Yes, Bolton.
Do you agree with some of your Democrat colleagues who say that President Biden's pardon of Hunter Biden was wrong or unwise and puts personal interest ahead of duty?
I got nothing for you on that.
Can I follow up on that? Are you concerned with the lack of transparency, lack of honesty around Biden's decision to pardon?
As I said, I got nothing for you on that. Nope.
Concerned that pardoning anyone on the way out of office, family members, sets a poor precedent.
Thank you. I've got nothing for you on that.
But the question is, they talked about January 6th pardons. This is a playbook for incoming President Trump. Isn't this a problem? Did he not establish a bad precedent for pardons?
I got nothing for you on that. Any other subjects?
As a father, I don't know of a father that wouldn't have done the same thing. What I would have done differently, and my recommendation as a counsel would have been, why don't you go ahead and pardon Donald Trump for all his charges and make it, it had gone down a lot more balanced, if you will. I'm just saying, wipe them out.
What do you think this does for his legacy?
I don't know. From that standpoint, it makes it difficult.
You know what else Biden should do? And I know people are going to get upset about this, but just think about it before you go crazy on me. Not you, everybody else. If I were he, I would pardon Trump.
You know something? Honestly,
I would say,
as crazy as this sounds, Chris, that's exactly what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Enough's enough. You know what? You're the Democrats. You lost the election. You got your butt whipped. You couldn't prevent him from going back to the White House. More than a dozen cases have been dropped against him. The cases that have been ruled against him, he's going to appeal, and he'll probably get off from having to deal with all of that. It's time to move forward. You want to get at Trump? Sit back and judge what he does. Guess what? You got a midterm election in 2 years. Are you going to be ready if you're the Democratic Party? You should be. He's going to be the presidency for 4 years. You're going to be able to judge every single act that he does. March forward, move forward. Gerald Ford could have let Nixon suffer. To say he didn't let that happen. Why? Because it was for the good of the country. The whole hanging Chads issue in 2000 between George W. Bush and Al Gore. Gore could have dragged it on. He didn't. It was for the better of the country. And a lot of times these folks speak about this stuff, but they don't do what they say they're going to do and what they implore others to do, which is where the disgust elevates exponentially for Washington, D.C., because we know they're full of it most of the time. And today was the latest example of that.
I follow the Hunter Biden trial very closely. I read every transcript, all the testimony, because that's what all that was made public. And there is, you want to get angry, just as somebody in just all these mixed emotions. You read the Hallie Biden transcript, and that's Bo's widow.
Yes.
And essentially he turned her into a crack addict. And this was all happening in 2017, 2018. And Joe and Joe Biden were so concerned about their family that they decided to run for president.
Yep.
So when you talk about the word selfish, it's almost like the word doesn't, their decision to run for president put the entire Democratic Party and the United States of America in the position that it's in now.
Mr. President, do you think
Thank you so much. Please.
You know, that's the right thing for the wealthiest nation in the world to do. And today, I'm announcing over $1 billion in new humanitarian support for Africans displaced from homes by historic droughts and food insecurity. We know African leaders and citizens are seeking more than just aid. You seek investment. So the United States is expanding our relationship all across Africa, from assistance to aid, to investment to trade, moving from patrons to partners, to help bridge the infrastructure gap. I was told, by the way, when I got elected, I could never get an infrastructure bill passed.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them. Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the Board of Czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens.
You're open to that?
Open to
hearing what their plan is to deport some of these folks, and you think the city, in some circumstances, should cooperate with ICE.
Let me. You know what's interesting? And I was talking to the team the other day. I want you to all go back and Google Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Google what they said about those who commit crimes in our city and what they said in our country. They said those who commit crimes need to get out right away. That was their position. So this is not a new position, because in the state of in the era of cancel culture, no one's afraid to be honest about the truth. Well, cancel me, because I'm going to protect the people of this city. And if you come into this country, in this city, and think you're going to harm innocent New Yorkers and innocent migrants and asylum seekers, this is not the mayor you want to be in the city under.
So I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
The Democratic mayor in New York, Eric Adams, a former cop, is ready to work with you.
I hope so, because I've just been notified he wants to sit down and meet with me. I'm willing to meet with him. I'm willing to meet with anybody to help make their community safer. Because again, prioritization out of the gate is public safety threats. Work with us on that. It makes your community safer. It keeps my officers safe. It keeps the community safe. Let's work together and get this done.
When's that meeting happen?
I haven't responded yet, but I'll respond this week.
Senator Johnson, the good news is we got 48 days before Trump take that oath. In January, ICE gonna come in and get rid of the illegal immigrants. Here's the thing. In order for us to get these taxes, we got to get rid of these illegals. So this was going to happen to you. You got Kash Patel and Pam Bundy that you're going to have to deal with sooner than later. Then it's going to be an audit. Next, it's going to be an investigation. Then it's going to be an indictment.
Well, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Oh, I like that. Oh, my God. I like that. That's bad.
Conviction. That's what's going to happen to you.
And no one answered any questions about why millions of dollars were spent on star-studded concerts, celebrities. $2.5 million went to Oprah's production company. Oprah very well could have made an in-kind contribution and covered the production costs and her employee's salary herself, but she decided to take payment from the campaign instead. And also, we learned recently that $500,000 was given to Al Sharpton just shortly before he interviewed Kamala Harris. So there's a lot of conflict of interest here, and we need a careful accounting and probably more granular than the FEC report would offer. So somebody needs to carefully explain why they decided to, for example, spend $900,000 on the sphere. Because if we don't do that, how are voters and donors ever going to trust the Democratic Party again?
So yes, I take the reelection of Donald Trump quite personally because of the person themselves, but also as a Black woman. And that is because I think for a lot of Black women, we can relate to Kamala Harris just in the sense of some of us have been in that position before where we felt qualified, if not overqualified in many respects. And for a lot of Black women, even though we should not internalize it this way, it felt like a particular rejection of some of the things that we've been fighting for, or it felt like a particular rejection of sort of our place and how we're seen in this society. And I don't think it's by any accident that both of Trump's presidential victories have been against women.